I'm Kat Filer, also known as KJ Filer, author of Shadowrunner, and my guest is Charlie Perry, the man behind the mic, poet, podcaster, all heart, all the time. We're going to learn why he started the Really Charlie podcast, his mission, a bit about his passion projects, hear a sample of readings from his works, and I have one of them, Poetic Pulse. Prepare to have your faith in humanity restored with this one-of-a-kind interview with a very unique man. Hi, Charlie. How are you doing? I'm so glad you could join me.
It's always a good time to be around you and talk with you. Our daily routine is electronics and messaging and all that. But I like this one-on-one, this verbal exchange between you and I, only because since day one, I always thought you were a great person, and now you're even better than what I thought.
You too. And I was just in New Hampshire, and if I had known you were close, I'd have come over and taken you out for coffee or something. I didn't realize you were that close.
Yeah, I think my wife and I probably could make it up there. Probably going to the bathroom once, 2 cups of coffee, and we would have been there.
There you go. Well, I want to start out talking to you as an author. I have one of your books, Poetic Pulse
3, yes.
And I just ordered In My Words, so that hasn't arrived yet. And
Wow.
I wanted to find out how you started writing and why.
Well, I think it started when I was 12 years old, and I was just kind of messing around between all the different things like hip hop when it was young, and so I started, playing around with it, but got away from it. And then when I was 15, it surfaced again. And I never knew that my dad was a writer. This is I haven't seen him in years. So we start at 15, I lived with him for a couple of years, and because my parents were split, and he seen me writing and he says, "Hey, I write," and we didn't know we had that in common. So that pretty much lasted up until my senior year in high school. And then I got deflated by a teacher, and I stopped writing, and she said I just didn't have it, which made me disappointed. And so I just stopped writing. 2008, I was working in a middle school as a school resource officer, and a teacher actually inspired me to write.
Oh.
So it came full circle, and ever since that man Al Karen inspired me, encouraged me, and I've been writing ever since, practically every day.
Well, your poems are almost I don't know, they're almost like mantras. I look at one of your poems every morning.
Thank you.
Sort of affirmation statements, kind of, the kind of thing that get you up in the morning and get you thinking. So I really enjoy that.
That's the only way I know how to write. I can't really do the traditional poetry. It gives me a way to write, and if I don't want to change up, so I keep, doing the muse and all that stuff. That's more better for me.
Yeah. It shows. It's the Charlie way. It's just however you do it. So what are some of your themes? I see you have several books.
Well, I like to let's see. A Poetic Pulse is kind of I use that as a writer, and I was basically gonna write and just use that name, kind of like a ghostwriter. And so I said, no, I'm just going to use my name, and then I added that to it. But I basically try to put that in every book that I have, because most of my poetry is from the heart. And whether it's good, bad, or lovely. But I love the ocean. If I'm near the ocean, watch out. I probably write a book in a day.
Yeah, that shows. I see that in a lot of your work. And a lot of your work is about the soul and, what how people feel and, yeah, like, we can
Correct.
see you in there. So, yeah. Um, as a writer or poet, what's the best compliment you ever got? We had this
Uh,
stupid teacher, you got a better one than that.
the best compliment, which happened several times, but it's when readers say you read my mind, and that is the greatest compliment I think and I received it several times. But when someone says that after reading one of my poems, it just it just I mean, it assures me and encourages me to keep on writing, you know.
Yeah, I think a lot of us, the connection with the reader is more important than anything.
It
Um,
sure is.
I know it's silly that you worry about a review, but I don't even care how many stars somebody was to give me. I just want to know that they read it and found something in there. And I definitely connect with some of yours. Do you have a favorite poem that you'd like to read us?
Let's see. I could I don't have a I could probably read something, but yeah, I would have to go get a book.
Okay,
And
how about if I read something?
sure,
I
sure.
have your book sitting right here. This one is one of my favorite, My Makeup.
Oh,
And I
nice.
love the play on words. Great. This is all my blessings from head to toe and inside and out. The hair is mine, the face is divine. From the sugar brown eyes to the tears I cry, my heart inside cries too. My makeup is a showcase with organic ways and means, defined to be who I am. Definitely a hug fan of myself. Huge fan, sorry. Definitely a huge fan of myself when I smile, frown, or fall. My makeup is so beautifully strong that I hear my soul, oh my God. My makeup is what I see, I feel, and what is 100% the real deal. And one of the reasons I like this, Charlie, is because I think it represents you. You are the real deal.
Thank you. Thank you. That was one of my favorites, and I kind of that one was written pretty quickly. And it's organic, you know, it's definitely coming from me, and it 100%. I'm not fabricating anything. I'm not imagining anything. It's exactly coming from my heart, you know, my poetic pulse, as I say.
Mhm.
Um, so that's one of my favorite, and it when I posted it on social media, there was quite a few views on different ones, and that's encouraging. It makes me smile, you know.
I think it's really admirable that you share your poetry like that too. Some people are going to find you on Amazon, but a lot of people are going to find you on Facebook and in the other venues. And it's definitely obvious that you're connecting with people. It's not really about trying to be famous or anything like that. It's about actually making connections, which you do, and you do that very well.
Thank you, thank you. I'm encouraging now. Right now, I'm really trying to encourage people, especially the readers that are writers, to write a book. And so many people they think it's just a hard task, and I explain to them that yeah, everything's, you know, a little hard, but you give it a try, you know, and see how far you can go. And I guarantee you're gonna have, from front cover to back cover, you're gonna have a book in your name, and you're gonna be proud of it. Proud of it.
Yeah.
So
I'm in a couple critique groups, and there was a young writer in there that was talking to me the other day, and she's afraid to let her book out. She's afraid to try and find a publisher for it. And I said, "What are you afraid of?" And she says, "I'm afraid that somebody will make fun of it." And I said, "Okay, look, anything you do, you could buy a car, people make fun of it. People could make fun of your dog. And
I,
so what do you care? Just if they don't get it, it wasn't your audience." And so thinking about that, but I think for all writers, the imposter syndrome, I've talked about this with a couple of guests, the imposter syndrome, we're all concerned that somebody's going to wake up one day and say, hmm, actually that person isn't such a big deal. And it's not going to happen because we put ourselves out there, and that takes a level of courage, you know?
Sure does. It sure does. And I I mean, I wish I can talk to her just to tell her that, you know what? You put the effort, put your book out there, and I'll buy 10 of them.
I'll let you know because she just brought something to a critique that when you're reading to a critique group, I don't know if you've been in any, but usually you're reading your work and you're not looking at the screen, so you don't have any idea how people are responding.
Hmm.
She got finished reading and looked up, and everyone was in tears. I mean, one of my friends who is just Mr. I have never ever cried in my life is doing this real
Yeah. Yeah.
quietly, and we're all going, oh. And she stopped talking and then started apologizing and backing up, and she was terrified that she'd made everybody sad. She had really touched us. And so
Yes.
here she is afraid, and we all said, "You need to put this up for a competition. It's that good."
Hmm.
Yeah, so we're all trying to help her now. We'll hear about her.
You well, I'm your word is gospel. So if you tell me something, I definitely will believe it 100%. So you tell this young lady to listen to you all, and I mean, she should have a book ready for the holidays, or even the fall, just to get it done. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I'll put her on my podcast.
I'll make sure she knows about that. So let's switch gears for a minute and talk about your podcast.
Yes.
So, um, how did you get started with that and why?
Um, I I actually got started through I was doing a cable access show, and then the pandemic hit.
Okay.
But I only had like one, two shows, and so once everything, we were so restricted and at home, I was like, I got to do something. And all of a sudden, I come across podcasting, and here I am, someone working in a studio, and I'm like, podcast. I never heard of that before. And then all of a sudden, that was it. I started YouTube and everything, and the rest was history. But it's one of the best things that have happened to me as an adult, and I'm so. I mean, if that's the positive I can get out of the pandemic, that's what I got.
Absolutely. And you've had quite the lineup. Did you want to maybe talk to us about some of your guests?
Let's see. Sure. I had you. I had quite a few people from the Atlanta's Writers Club that kind of, actually got me to you. Let's see. Trying to think. Let's see. I had my grandchildren.
Oh, that's great.
One of the funniest podcasts I've ever done. The and definitely, I have athletes, from local athletes to collegiate athletes on. Uh, One friend that I really got real close to, and we never met since before my podcast or his podcast, and now we talk every single day.
Yeah.
So all I could say is, go to Really Charlie on YouTube, and definitely check out the podcast, and all the social media from Facebook to Instagram. But
Absolutely. I definitely recommend it. Here's what your bio says. I love this.
mhm.
Let's just talk about whatever, whatchamacallit, and whoever comes to mind. A weekly rap session every Wednesday, but every day could be a podcast day. Sooner or later, you'll say, really, Charlie. And that's great.
It's I just started a new job, and so my colleagues, it's only me and one other man, and then the rest are all women. So one of the women was a friend of mine, so she's always been following the podcast. So now she starts in the office. Really, Charlie? Really, Charlie? And so now every time I'm making a goof or, messing up with something, that's what they're saying. So it's definitely it's becoming my first and last name.
I love that you're not stuck with one thing. I've seen you do athletes and authors and just everyone, and I think that's really good. I want to look for the one with your grandchildren. That sounds like a blast. I would
Yeah.
be afraid to put my granddaughter up right now.
Oh,
Who
it's
knows what she would come up with?
my kids are so afraid. They were like, "Oh my God, they're gonna be live. What are they, worried about what they're gonna say?" And I said, it's a podcast. Let them be kids." So, and everyone was happy with it. And now they want me to do another one. So,
That's a really great idea. A friend of mine, it was for quite a while, he was a filmmaker, but not like in Hollywood. And some of the stuff he did, one of his passion projects was interviewing people's family members.
hmm
And I was very sorry that I didn't get my father to sit down and do a little broadcast with him because I could have captured him. And you always think there's another day, tomorrow and tomorrow. And I did sit down with him with just a tape recorder, but I
hmm
wish that I had captured his image. So I think it's great that you've done your family and all the people that you've captured. And then know that as the time goes on and you have them on again, you can see the passage of time, you can see the development and stuff. So I think it's a real labor of love what you're doing.
I agree. I agree. I actually pretty much said the same thing to a friend of mine. He was on my podcast yesterday, and he's trying to get his going, his show. And I pretty much told him that, 6 months down the line, you're going to look at your podcast and say, "Wow, I evolved, I developed," and that's what I see from year and a half ago to right now.
Well, and you're the one who told me to just jump. And so I don't have a fancy studio. I don't have fancy equipment, although all my guests are going to zoom in anyway. So I'm not sure that there's any point in that. But I had friends who are just such great authors, and I just thought, let's just get them on and get them recorded. And I've recommended your show, and they will be they haven't contacted you, they will. But I think a lot of them are just a little, I don't know, scared about being live.
Yeah.
So when I said I was doing this, that was the deal. People that I know said, "Oh, I'll do it. I'd love to do it, but I don't want to be live." But I'm
Yeah.
good with being live. Felt real comfortable on your show. You have a way of putting people at ease and just asking questions that are, I have to say your questions were not things I expected, but that makes for a
hmm
really interesting conversation.
It sure does. I'm just, trying to be creative, but be um ordinary, organic, whatever you
Mhm,
want to say, and that's it. Because if you treat a podcast like if it was FaceTime,
mhm.
people are comfortable, you
Yeah.
know, and even in the Zoom meeting, if you treat it that way, things come out, amazing things come out, and the result is usually good.
Yep. Yep. So you're in Massachusetts.
Yes,
Okay. And I know you're a sports fan.
yes, I can't deal without it. It's going to be a rough. Well, no, it's not going to be rough because I still have the WNBA, so I can watch that. Um, I really been getting into some golfing and
Okay.
not playing it, but watching it. And so I'm gonna be okay. Baseball is I don't like watching it, but I love being in the park. If that makes any sense.
It does. I grew up with a grandfather who was a minor league ball player. And he took me, I was about 6 years old, and he took me to the Baseball Hall of Fame. Babe Ruth's uniform was still there. That had not been
Oh,
stolen yet.
wow.
Yeah, and we walked in there and I kept getting shushed. And I thought, this is kind of like baseball church for him. So we were walking around and he was telling me who these people were and how important they were. He didn't much think he didn't like Ty Cobb. I'm not sure why. He didn't want to tell a
Mhm,
6-year-old why. But it was funny because gosh, about 10 years ago, my husband and I went back to Cooper's town and we went to the Baseball Hall of Fame and walked around. And as an adult, now I get it. And I also saw the Ken Burns documentary on baseball. And
mhm.
I wonder if people in this country really realize how American baseball is.
It's so true. I mean, I think, the three sports that are, baseball, basketball, and football, are American. But baseball is, that was the thing to do. That was the first, I actually, out of all the three major ones, that's the first thing we started playing, from stickball in the neighborhood to, strikeout and all that other stuff. That was the things that we had. And it's amazing. It is the ultimate American sport, I think.
It really is, and his history runs through baseball in ways that I think that a lot of us don't appreciate. I didn't appreciate until I was an adult. I didn't realize what a great big um, part that played in the civil rights movement, and that
Yes.
was something that I got familiar
Mhm.
with.
It's the amazing thing, and I can't think of what book it was in, but it talks about two friends, and I'll think of the title, but it's two friends. One's black, one's white, and they're playing in both leagues.
Mhm.
But they want to play together, and they can't. And but I can't think of the book right now. My dad introduced me to it. It will come to me, and
You'll have to
that was
send
an
it to
amazing
me.
story.
Send it to me so I can put it in the links because I was really surprised about that. I remember even my grandfather, way back when I was 6 years old, he was talking to me about Jackie Robinson and Branch Rickey. Was that his last name?
I think so. Yeah.
And yeah, and it was a big deal to him. And I thought, okay, who are these people?
Mhm,
I'm 6. And then later I started thinking about it. And when I go into a stadium now, I do like to go to games. And it was very easy for us to go to a game when we were in Phoenix because you could just go. They have a train that runs around town, and you don't even have to have your car. You just go down, and you can have a couple of beers and not worry about driving home. It's great. But
I know what you're talking about. I
yeah,
was there.
yeah, it's in Phoenix in Arizona.
Hmm.
But the thing that I really like is just going into a stadium when it's after hours and walking around, because in
Hmm.
almost all of these stadiums, history has happened. It's such a part of the American experience. So yeah.
The amazing thing, right? Way back when, a, a man wore a hat and a woman wore a hat.
Yeah.
The base in society, you stepped out of the house and you had it. How did they see the baseball game with all those hats all over the place?
I know. I know. Well, my grandfather had a thing about hats. That might have been why.
Hmm.
My mom had a hat on one time, and he says, "You look ridiculous in that hat." And she says, "Thanks." And he says, "The dress is great." And she says, "Not like I care, but thanks." They had an interesting relationship.
Good.
So, what are some of your other passion projects, Charlie?
Let's see. Uh, well, I mean, being in the radio station now, I have a great fondness, and I really want to learn so much. Um, that I think that's one of the next things that I want to do is just learn studio and producing, and only because it's so satisfying even when you're behind the scenes doing things and the end result and you say, hey, I did that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I want that's another kind of bucket list thing. And I mean, I'm actually living it now. So, but and I don't really, politics, I'm done with that. I'm not
Yeah,
going to do that
I
anymore.
hear you.
Mm, and that's really about it. I just simple things in my life right now, and it only makes it easier. I'm not trying to do anything overwhelming, and so watching the grandkids grow and join family.
That's a full-time job right there. I'm trying
Yeah.
to balance that family time with other things, you
Hmm.
know, and it's a tough balancing act. I know I think to myself, well, I have the right to have a life of my own. And then you go see the grandkids and you think, she's talking. Oh Lord,
Yeah.
when did that happen? Or,
Mm.
oh, look at her. My daughter calls her 3-year-old a three-nager, and she
I
is.
like that.
So yeah. So um so what is the one question I did not ask that you wish I had, and how would you answer that?
Let's see. Hmm. Um, Trying to think here. The um, I think the one question you didn't ask me is, let's see. Um, Maybe let's leave it simple. Put my own self on a podcast, kind of interviewing my own self. Imagine that if I could just interview my own self, and I think that's a project I would do. Like, what would I say if I interviewed me? And the first thing I would ask Charlie Perry, or really Charlie, is do you think your podcast is making a difference in the world? And I would say yes, I am. I think it is because it's a better world if we communicate,
That's
and
right.
a podcast communicates a lot of things, and it also praises. I'm not trying to be negative Nelly and trying to throw some bad video or audio out there. Um, don't get me wrong, I love all kinds of podcasts for the reasons I just said. Um, Driving daily on a bus, I was listening to Joe Rogan every day. I was listening to um, Steve Harvey every day. So there's two different people living two different lives, and but guess what? I'm living it,
That's
and
right.
each of them taught me something.
Yep. 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 Somebody asked me recently what I thought you did for a living, and I said, well, he's a podcaster. And she said, yeah, but what exactly does a podcaster do? And I said, well, I don't know what all podcasters do, but I know what Charlie is. You, Charlie, are a matchmaker. You hook up people who have something to say with people who need to hear something.
Yes, wow, that's it. I never thought of that, but I agree. I really do. Um, and yeah, I'm not making money off of it. I'm just giving my time, and believe me, when you have family and you have grandchildren, you have some great friends like
Mm.
your time is valuable. So if I'm taking time to away from all those things, to me that's priceless. It's priceless to give up my time because I have so many other things and other people that I could be dealing with and enjoying. And here I am, I'm putting someone else's, um, time, or you get what I'm saying. I just
Yeah,
think that it's, I'm just giving up my time to make other people shine. And
you,
that's it.
you do. I know you've had an awful lot of people that I know on your podcast, and if it wasn't for you, people wouldn't have heard about us. So we really do appreciate that. And you
Wow.
always put people in a good light too. So that's very kind of you.
I'm so ready and to do some more, especially, our friends and our associates. I really want to do some more. And in fact, I received an email, and I think it was a friend of yours or Kim's, and I totally blanked out. I said, wow, I got to put her on the podcast this month. So I'm going to try to do something for next Tuesday. And hopefully she's available. And Miss Thomas, I believe it is. Thomas. Yeah.
Probably is one of Kim's friends. I've sent you several. I'm not sure if they've, if you've connected with them or not, but I know Kim and Kathy and Gabby and Lisbeth, they all have just a bottomless, and George, an
Hmm.
endless list of people. So
They
yeah.
sure do. I mean, they could book me for this year and next year. Or give me a list that I can book for a whole year straight easily. And I could just sit back like a fat cat and just say, hey, I'm already booked. I can't book you until 2025.
There you go. Well, Charlie, I have really enjoyed talking to you. It's been real fun having you on the other side of the couch.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so honored to be with you, sharing this time with you. This is definitely a keepsake like everything else, but I just want to let you know that keep on writing, and I'm still reading your book, along with many others. Maybe maybe I shouldn't have interviewed so many
There
authors
you go.
because
Isn't that not the way it is? Then you have a stack. And have you read it? Yes, yes, I'm reading 5 now.
yeah.
You never have. I haven't gone into a bookstore and looked for myself in so long, I don't even know.
No, your book is amazing, and I can't wait. I
I
can't
really
wait
appreciate that.
until you do everything you do. I'm gonna be behind you. And
Well, ditto that, Charlie. Well, it's been
uh,
great. I really have enjoyed talking with you as always, and I will
thank,
put links below for listeners. I'll put links below where you can find Charlie's books and his podcast and all things Charlie. So
awesome. I appreciate you, and give the hubby a high five for me, and
will do.
let's keep in touch, and I'll talk to you later.
Sounds good.